Hello, stolen cousins. Um, doing the norm, some horror stuff as usual. You know what you're here for. You know what I'm here for, so we can watch something creepy together. So grab your popcorn, grab your chips. Ooh, I got chips. I should grab some chips. I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get my chips next time. I don't know. I think the only time I only eat like once or twice while recording. So I'm aware like I'm gonna get some chips, but probably not. Yeah. Stop acting like you don't know that I babble, the first minute or two for the videos. I don't have an intro. The intro is me talking. So yeah, let's get right into it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because we are family. Stolen cousins. Yes, we're stolen. Um, Today we're doing three true Snapchat horror stories. SSG. I love me some SSG animations. Those are my peoples. We're more buds. We're like this. Pals. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. And I'm over here like, like what can be creepy about Snapchat? Everything. Ooh, what if they do something because they put the maps on there? Like, remember, like a good 8 years ago when they put the maps on there and you can see people's locations. If you like zoom, 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 you can see somebody's street. Let's see what they're gonna do with Snapchat.
It's been 2 years since this incident, but
Ooh,
I
I
can
love an
remember every
elephant.
detail of this story like it was yesterday. I was 17, and as a teenager, I wasn't really into social apps. I was the kind of teen you'd see with headphones on all the time, but as time passed, I guess I changed. The more friends I
That
made,
was
the more
Omegle.
the need for these social apps became. Instagram came first, then
That
Twitter,
alone lets you
and then
know I
finally
was a social
Snapchat.
media kid.
At first, I wasn't really enthusiastic about the app, but eventually, I grew to love it, and before I knew it, I was sending up to 16 snaps a day. Little did I know that, in the coming weeks, this app would lead to the worst experience of my life. I can remember the first message I received. I was in class with my friends, and we were talking about girl stuff, when my phone buzzed. At the time, I didn't realize it because I was really into the conversation. I'm guessing my friend Lucy saw it, so she called my attention to it. "Claire, when did you start talking to boys we don't know about?" I was taken aback by this statement, and the whole group became intrigued. "What are you talking about?" I replied. Then she held my phone up and said, "Who's user 22?" I quickly took my phone and saw the notification. I had received a voice note on Snapchat from someone called user 22. The
Ew.
person wasn't added as my friend, so that was odd. "I don't know who this is," I replied. "Come on, spill the beans," they said. But I kept saying that I was telling the truth and I really didn't know who it was. "How do you know it's a boy anyway?" I asked Lucy. "Because no girl uses a name as bland as user 22. Plus, you don't really talk to anyone apart from us." Deep down, I knew that was true. Even if I did start using social apps, I still only talked to my friends on it. So I guess I wasn't as social as I thought. I finally decided to play the
You
message.
don't have to be
I
so.
put on my headphones and pressed play. At first, it was nothing but silence for 30 seconds. Then I heard the crackling of a camera. Like the sound it makes when taking a picture, followed by a loud, guttury scream of a word, "Chait." The word sounded like someone who wasn't literate or someone who didn't know English well tried to pronounce the word chat. I was still in deep thought till my friends asked, "So what does it say?" So I took off my headphones and played the message. They too were in shock till Lucy started laughing. I remember asking her, "What's so funny?" And she said, "It's probably a silly trend. Don't you get it? The clicking of a camera when taking a photo, snap, followed by a loud voice screaming the word chat, Snapchat." At that moment, that was the only plausible explanation. And with all the new trends and challenges on social media, it seemed to make sense. We all shrugged it off and went on with our day. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right with that message.
Like, I guess.
In the coming weeks, I kept on receiving the same message at odd times of the day. In the middle of the night, after showering, or when I'm just walking down the street with my friends. Lucy said it was a trend, but apparently it was only me getting these weird messages. I tried to talk to the person by asking, "Who are you? What do you want from me?" But user 22 never responded. He or she just kept on sending the same voice note over and over. With time, I just started to ignore it, and I told myself it was probably a bot or a glitch. I also didn't tell my friends because it really wasn't hurting anyone. On April 15th, a day which I'd come to remember, my parents were out of town for the weekend, and I was sitting by the window reading a book, and my phone buzzed. I picked it up and saw the same notification that I'd been seeing for weeks. Voice note from user 22. I don't know why, but I always played the message. Maybe I was waiting, hoping for it to be something different. I wasn't wearing my headphones, so I decided to play it out loud, and it was the exact same thing. Snap. Jade. But this time after playing the message, I froze. Maybe it was because I wasn't wearing my headphones, but I could have sworn that I heard the sound of a camera taking a picture coming from outside while I played the audio. I was really scared, so I slowly turned around, and right there, outside my window, was a hooded man holding a camera. I screamed and expected him to run away, but he ran right towards me. Upon reaching the window, he realized that it was locked, and he just stood there for 30 seconds staring at me. He then started screaming the word, "Jade! Jade! Jade!" at the top of his lungs.
What?
I just stood there completely frozen and confused. But what he did next scarred me for life. He started using his own head to repeatedly bash in my window. I saw the glass cut his cheek and forehead, but he just continued to destroy my window with his face. By now, his hood was off, and I could completely see his face.
Ew.
He looked like he was in his 60s. The hair on his head was tattered and in patches, and his teeth were black and rotten. I don't know why I didn't run. I don't know why I didn't call the police. I guess I couldn't. I was totally transfixed. I don't know if it was because of the fear, but all I could do was just stand there and take in the scene. My window finally broke, and the man whose face was completely disfigured let himself in. He held me by the shoulders and looked me in the eye. Up close, I could see his left eye was completely damaged, and numerous shards of glass were sticking out of his face. My mind had already gone to 1,000 places.
You pissed
I
me
thought
off.
he was going to have his way with me and kill me. My mind
And you
screamed
were
at me
just
to do
gonna let
something,
him.
but my body fell limp. He opened his mouth and said the same words he'd been saying over and over. But this
Not
time,
that green
he
coming out
said
his
it in a
mouth?
calm voice, and it sounded like a question. Cheat? His breath was so rancid, it smelled like feces, but I still didn't say anything. He
Bro,
repeated it
smelling like
again,
boo-boo.
this time with a little agitation in his voice. Cheat! I finally mustered up some courage and said, "I don't understand." And without thinking, he hit me hard on my face, and the force of the blow broke my nose. He then continued to shout, "Jade! Jade! Jade!" I remember at that
How
moment
you
my mind
mad
told
at
me I
her?
was going to die, as I had
Because
already
you don't
accepted.
know what the hell.
Just then,
You
I
don't
heard
know
my
what
name
you're
from
saying.
outside. "Claire? It's me, Miss Anderson, your neighbor. I heard a lot of noise and decided to check on you. Are you all right?"
No, she's
I don't
not.
know where the strength came from, but I screamed. I screamed so hard, my lungs hurt. "Claire, open the door right now." I heard Miss
You
Anderson
didn't hear the
scream.
screams,
The
Miss
man,
Anderson?
distracted by my neighbor, looked at the door, and I didn't hesitate to kick him between his legs. He screamed, and I ran for my room. I got in and locked the door, and it wasn't long till I heard footsteps from outside. I heard him banging the door, screaming. I stayed on the floor of my room, sobbing. It didn't take long before I started hearing police sirens. Soon after, I heard, "It's the police!" followed by struggling from outside. Then everything died down. Then my door was broken down, and a female cop walked in and asked me, "Are you okay?" I looked outside, and I saw 2 cops holding down the man who had broken into my house. "It's okay. We've restrained him," she said. I remember running into her arms and crying my heart out. After the incident, I was taken to a hospital. My parents then immediately rushed home after hearing the news. I went to the station to give a statement, and my dad demanded to know the identity of the man who did this to his daughter. We were told his name was Owen Connor. He was a war veteran. Before he joined the Army, he used to be a photographer. After the war, he suffered many brain injuries and PTSD, which made him really violent. He tried.
I want to say I'm not justifying anything that he did at all because he's creepy as fuck. Like, what are you doing? But I do want to say that the government have all these people go to war and don't make sure nobody's good when they get out. So we can blame this situation on the government.
He suffered many brain injuries and PTSD, which made him really violent. He tried to get back in tune with his family, but he was isolated due to his rage and violent outbursts. After an incident where he got violent with one of his family members, he was put into a psychiatric ward. He stayed there for 6 years. There his condition deteriorated, and he lost many brain and speech functions. He escaped about 6 months ago, and has been on the loose ever since. I remember asking, why did he come after me though? And how did he get my Snapchat ID? They said they found a phone on him. Upon going through it, they found out he used the app Snapchat as a way to get back in contact with his family. They said he looked up the name of his daughter, Claire, and Snapchat's generic search results probably brought up my name, and he thought I was his daughter. They said he tracked me down using the Snap Map and followed me around.
What did I say? The map.
Numerous pictures of me
That
were also
motherfucking
found on
map.
his camera. Even after all the therapy, I still remember that day, and every time I go to events, be it weddings or birthdays, I am always afraid of the words, "say cheese." Because once I hear the snap of a camera, I vividly hear his voice still screaming at me. Shade!
Oh, he's probably like saying like Claire. He's probably trying to say Claire.
How's it going? My name is Anthony,
Hey,
and I'm a single dad. It's been extremely difficult raising my girl alone in New York City, but luckily, Liz has been the most wonderful daughter on all the planet. Together, we have overcome anything life has thrown at us, up until today. I fear what has transpired last month is something insurmountable for us. You see, young Liz was simply wonderful. Her problems and difficulties were things I could handle with ease. They rarely exceeded cuts, scrapes, or stomach aches. Those were easy. A few band-aids, hugs, and kisses here and there, and suddenly I was Superman to her. There was nothing I couldn't fix in her eyes. But as Liz grew, so did the magnitude of her problems and complaints. Gone was the little girl that played with dolls and kitchen sets. She was quickly replaced by a moody teenager filled with angst and rebellion. This Liz was more difficult to handle. "You just don't get it, Dad," she'd scream at me often. It was the usual finale and finishing touch to our arguments. And maybe she was right. What could I, a 42-year-old man, have in common with a 15-year-old girl? Her world revolved around boys, social media, and Starbucks. And mine just didn't. Things took a turn for the worse 6 months ago. I felt Liz more emotionally detached from me than ever. Always deeply distracted by her phone and social media applications. They were alien to me. I barely understood how Facebook was used, so to me, Instagram, TikToks, Twitters, and Snapchat, it was just a different language. At the time, a wave of child abductions was sweeping through New York City. In 4 months, 19 kids and teenagers had vanished. None of them was found. Investigators suspected these kidnappings were occurring through social media targeting. An ongoing theory by investigators was that children and teenagers were being followed and tracked by this group of criminals. After learning the kids' location, habits, and activities, the criminals, usually working alone, swooped them away. The motive behind the kidnappings was still unknown, but a pattern had been identified. Young kids were being followed before being abducted. Reports warning children and parents about oversharing of personal information on social media frequented the news. I pleaded with Liz not to use any of these services, but she called me basic and argued every single one of her friends still used it. She didn't want to be the only weirdo that didn't, so we compromised. I allowed her to use them, only if she allowed me to monitor all her posts. She accepted my agreement, saying lots of people followed her, and I'd just be another one on that list. Every night before going to bed, I'd sit with my reading glasses and view her Snapchat stories. They consisted of typical teenager activities. Dancing routines with her friends, drinks at Starbucks, the occasional boy. I rarely asked questions, and she rarely commented on my constant vigilance. The reports of missing children only intensified my watch and devotion to looking after my daughter. The night it occurred was like every other. It was a Friday evening, and Liz had gone to her friend Trisha's house for a get-together with friends. Despite Trisha's parents being present, we kept in close communication, and still worried any time Liz was out of the house after sundown. So I watched some television, keep myself from wondering about potential dangers that could be approaching her. After what seemed like an eternity, Liz arrived home at 11:15 p.m. She greeted me, said goodnight, and headed to her room. I headed for mine, ready for a good night's sleep. As was my daily ritual, I sat on my bed, put on my reading glasses, and began watching Liz's Snapchat stories. There were over 50, starting out with a day at school. I watched my daughter's day play out through Snapchat, all while she slept in her room across the hall. Her stories began with videos of her and Trisha walking through the school's busy hallway, headed towards homeroom class. They complained and joked about Mrs. Weber, and they wanted the school day to be over in anticipation of the party. The next few stories were of Liz walking through a crowded parking lot towards her car, again talking about Trisha's party, inviting her followers to attend. After those, a series of stories showed Trisha and Liz at an overcrowded Starbucks, drinking frosty, caffeinated beverages and raving about the party. Finally, the last series of stories detailed the anticipation of the party. The activities shown were mostly innocent enough for my approval. No drugs were involved, no alcohol either, and it certainly seemed like no boys were being too overly friendly. Trisha's parents even made an appearance in her Snapchat stories, putting my mind further at ease. At least there was adult supervision. The Snapchat stories ended with her exiting her car and arriving home. She thanked Trisha via her story for a great party and headed for the front door, only seconds before entering and greeting me in real life. However, something lingered in my mind. Did I just imagine it? I put on my reading glasses again, picked up my phone, and began rewatching her stories. My heart sank. As the screen flashed before my eyes, I began taking continuous screenshots throughout her stories. Adrenaline pumping. Before I knew it, I had gotten up and was now pacing through the room, staring intently at her stories. I hurried to look at the screenshots I had taken, my heart beating fast. My hands began to shake. As I zoomed in to each screenshot, my worst fear became a reality. During her morning Snapchat stories, a screenshot revealed a man in the background, staring at Liz from within the crowd. He wore a plaid shirt, jeans, thick glasses. He looked in his late 30s, trying to appear younger to blend into the school setting. Her video showed him sneaking around the background, trying to shield his face, occasionally being captured by my screenshots. At Starbucks, the same man sat at a table behind them, hiding behind a newspaper, shooting quick momentary glances at them, again captured by my screenshots. At Trisha's party, the same man was cowering in the living room corner alone, this time wearing a hood over his head. He continuously covered his face with his phone, but again, my screenshots captured his true identity. My panic culminated when I spotted him in Liz's final Snapchat story. He hid behind a tree in my backyard as Liz exited her car. The moonlight hit his glasses, shining brightly momentarily, seized by my screenshot. He sneaked behind a tree, heading towards my backyard where Liz's window was. I dropped my phone and sprinted to Liz's room. I bursted through the door and found myself in an image I will never forget.
He was trying to get her?
The dark room was illuminated by an open window. The figure of the man in the plaid shirt turned to look at me, as half of his body was out the window, escaping. Over his shoulder, the limp body of my daughter dangled lifelessly. For a moment, our eyes met, and the moonlight familiarly glistened off his glasses. I charged at him, but he was out the window when I reached him. I threw my body forward, through the open window, diving face first and landing in my backyard. I looked up and saw him escaping. He moved gracefully and nimbly through my dark backyard as a fox moves to avoid detection. Our pursuit lasted a quarter of a mile before he realized he couldn't outrun me with my daughter's body weighing him down.
Good.
As I grabbed his plaid shirt, having caught up with him, he threw my daughter's limp body onto the street and accelerated into the darkness. Her body hit the concrete hard, ricocheting like a rag doll. I rushed to my daughter's rescue, checking for a pulse, any signs of life. The next 3 days were spent in the hospital room. Conversations with doctors and detectives. The good news was that Liz was alive. She had been given a strong sedative. But besides its after effects and a broken wrist from the fall, she would be fine.
Okay.
The bad news was that this man in the plaid shirt had escaped undetected. Investigators and other forms of law enforcement have interviewed me relentlessly, but no arrests have been made. Liz continues to be tormented by the idea that this man is roaming free. When we arrived home, the first thing she did was delete her Snapchat account. However, she still lives in constant fear and paranoia. She doesn't want to leave the house without me, and has fallen into a terrible depression. I'll confront her just as I did when she was a young child. But let this be a warning to all the parents on the dangers of Snapchat and how easily our children can be targeted.
Yes. What's the first thing I said, y'all? What did I say at the beginning of the video? The goddamn maps. I'm not gonna judge this too hard, but inviting your followers, people who follow you, to your friend's party is dumb. If you are not an adult, you do not have security eyes on everybody coming in and out of your doors. You're just inviting strangers to the party. That's crazy as hell to me. I don't think she was like a child because she was driving. So like what? She's in college or what? I don't even know. It seems like high school. He said to be driving in high school, you got to be. You can drive at 16 with a permit and a certain time. My mom was on all my social medias. She was on them added as a friend, and she was on them just if she wanted to check them. It's okay to allow your kids to have social media, but please make sure you monitor to them, because oh my god, as we've seen 2 times, people are just being stalked like it's nothing. That's crazy.
Snapchat is one of the most popular apps amongst teens and young adults. It's a way to share your day with your friends, send each other pictures, and play with filters. I used it a lot through high school, and now I'm in college. It's helped me connect with new people. I'm Daphne, and this is why I don't use Snapchat anymore. It wasn't unusual for me to get friend requests after classes started in the new semester, and some of them I accepted, others I didn't. There was always a mix of bots that would add me as well. They'd always friend me and send me some sort of message to check out their sexy content. Those I blocked and reported. Due to the high cost of tuition and losing my job, I had to drop out of school and look for another job. It was really difficult to find one that I could make enough money to pay tuition, and I was feeling completely hopeless. I walked out of an interview for a fast food place and checked my phone. I saw that someone added me on Snapchat and checked it out. It was a guy named Logan, and his Bitmoji seemed kind of cute. He sent me a picture of himself with the caption, "Hey." His picture was very attractive, and I decided to accept him as a friend. I took a cute selfie and sent it to him with the caption, "Hi." We began messaging back and forth. "Hi there, I'm Logan." "Hi Logan, I'm Daphne. You live in Atlanta too?"
It's crazy because on Snapchat, a place where there would be no possible way of being catfished, because you had to post pictures. Because keep in mind, upon a time, Snapchat was just live photos. Only things that you took on Snapchat you could post. And then they uploads, pictures that were in your camera roll and stuff you can upload. After that, anything where someone could pretend to be someone else, they are going to pretend to be someone else. So you have to be aware that there are creeps and catfish on every social media. Just getting added by strangers. You gotta talk to them because the Bitmoji's cute. Bitmojis just came out recently in the past, in the last 4-5 years. So this is recent.
"Hi there, I'm Logan." "Hi Logan, I'm Daphne. You live in Atlanta too?" "Yes, I do." "Are you attending university?" "I was." "Why not anymore?" "I lost my job and couldn't pay for tuition." "Sorry to hear about that." "It's okay. Do you go?" "Yeah, and I happen to be the richest guy on campus." "That must be nice." We continued to chat late into the night. I began to feel an attraction to him as he was hilarious and good looking to boot. I wondered if he needed to be up for school the next day, but he insisted it was fine. We talked consistently over the next couple of days when Logan offered me something that should have been a red flag. But when that stupid fast food place declined my application, I was desperate. You want to work for me? What would I be doing? I think you're really attractive and would like you to make content just for me. What would that entail? You make videos and take pictures based on what I want. I have a lot of money and can pay for you to come back to school. I had an odd feeling about where this was going, but when you're desperate, you'll do what you have to do. How much? $3,500 a week. Just making content for you? Yes. Do you use PayPal? I do. Send me your PayPal. I sent him my PayPal information, and to my surprise, he sent me $3,500. To be honest, I've dabbled in sugar baby stuff before, but never went through with it because they always ask for money up front. Logan just gave it to me. This week, I want pictures of just your feet. I want 10 pictures and we'll pay extra if you feel like sending extra. He described to me the different kinds of foot pictures to send him. He wanted my feet to be covered in something edible, from dripping with honey to smothered in cake with frosting and a pot of chili. I did everything he asked and extra just to see if he would pay extra. To my surprise, he did. The content escalated to more risque things, but I was getting so comfortable with it as he paid up. Within a month, I was caught up with my bills and able to come back to school. It was nice being able to attend classes and take the weekends to create the content he asked for, and I sent it to him. There was one week he didn't send payment, and it was after I sent him his requested videos. One day, I saw a guy on campus and thought he looked familiar. I ran up to him. Logan? He gave me a strange look, asking who I was. It's me, Daphne. I don't know a Daphne. What? I've been sending you content for weeks now, and I wanted to say you're late on payment. I have no idea what you're talking about. He walked away, leaving me confused, and a part of me felt violated.
That is
I
not
have
a
shown this
conversation
guy
to have
everything
at
for the
school.
money, and he acted like he had no idea who I was in public? I suppose I understood. Maybe this was a dirty secret for him. God knows it was for me. I went to my
Obviously
American
not
literature
that much
class and
if
sat
you just
down.
hollering
The
it out.
professor insisted we call him Doug. A lot of professors insisted we call them by their first names. I noticed Doug kept glancing at me through the lecture. He was an older man, and I picked up on the fact he was looking at a lot of girls. After class, I got a notification from PayPal that I received my money for the week. Logan and I continued our agreement, and I never saw him around campus again. I wondered if he just wanted to avoid me, and I honestly didn't care at this point. He paid me, and I sent the pictures and videos he asked for. I had Doug's class every other day, and I met a guy in there that I actually liked. His name was Greg, and we sat together in class every day we had it. One day, Greg asked me out to lunch, and I accepted. Greg and I began hanging out a lot and started dating. He didn't know about my agreement with Logan on Snapchat, and I was hoping he wouldn't find out. One day after class, Greg gave me a kiss as we wouldn't see each other until after lunch. Doug had pulled me aside and asked me to stay after to talk to him. I figured it was about my grade, as spending time with Greg has pushed my studies to the side. With juggling my secret hustle and Greg, the last thing on my mind has been American literature. Thanks for meeting me, Daphne. Sure thing. You know I care about the well-being of my students, right? Yes, I do.
We know it's Doug.
I wanted to talk about the test on Friday. You flunked it. I cringed and ran a hand awkwardly through my hair as I sat down in the seat next to him. Yeah, I figured I did. Well, the good news is I can help you. He reached over and placed a hand on my thigh and rubbed his thumb against my knee. I do this for a lot of my students. I pushed his hand away and stood up. I don't think so, pig. I'm going to report you for sexual harassment. You're not going to do that, he chuckled. His demeanor was smug and arrogant. Oh, really? And why not?
Because he's
Because
Logan.
I am Logan. With that, he pulled out his phone and opened up all the content I sent to Logan in exchange for thousands of dollars a week. I felt the color drain from my face, and he began laughing maniacally as he scrolled through all the explicit photos I sent him. You dumb bitch, it's been me the whole time. But Logan's a real guy on campus. No, he's not. I was just using a picture of some random kid. You sick bastard. He continued laughing hysterically and even snorted. Sick am I? You're the one who agreed to send content from my eyes only for money. I paid your way back into this college, and if you don't want me releasing your photos, you're gonna do exactly as I say. I scoffed. You're not going to release my photos because if you're caught prostituting students, you'll lose your job and be placed on the sex offenders list. You'll never see a student again. Oh, honey. All I have to do is show your pictures and say that you sent them to me in hopes to get your grades up. They'll never believe a student over me. I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. You know what? You can expose me. That's fine. If that's what it takes to be free of our deal, then so be it. I grabbed my books and stormed out of the classroom in tears. I tried to go about my day as usual, but I felt paranoid and found myself looking over my shoulder. The dean of the university called me and asked me to come into the office. This was it for me. I went in to face my fate, but instead I saw Greg there, showing footage of mine and Doug's conversation from earlier. Doug was arrested for paying sugar babies that he would friend on Snapchat using random pictures of guys around campus to gain their trust. It caused a big mess with everyone involved, and a lot of young boys had to appear in court to clear their names.
That's crazy.
Because Doug did this to a number of girls, none of us were expelled. If it hadn't been for Greg having an odd feeling about me being asked to stay after class, he wouldn't have gotten the footage and exposed him. He was a hero to many. Ladies, next time you get friended on Snapchat from a guy who seems trustworthy, don't engage. It's not worth it.
I thought we all knew that. I be thinking everybody be knowing stuff. These videos be showing me that a lot of y'all don't be knowing stuff. But I'm also, I'm an only child. My mom's, so a lot of my, I was raised way different than a lot of people. But that story was juicy. Honest thoughts about it. I want to say that story. I felt like, like she got her coin. If Doug / Logan didn't decide to try to be greedy and try to get some actual, booty, then she probably would have still been getting money from it, It was just that, and then him trying to expose her and X, Y, and Z. Truth be told, I knew the exposure was coming because you over here sending your money for your body for money. You don't even know who you're sending yourself to. He's just sending cash. You didn't get that payment until you go to that class to that new teacher, and then you get that payment, and then you don't be like, you seen Logan in the hallway. He was like, what, bitch? I don't know you. And then you get your payment after going to class, and you don't start to put pieces together. You just still sending content. But that was a good one. Beware of Snapchat. But again, I thought we all knew this. I thought everybody knew to be careful of social media things. But again, like I said, my mom was on me with with stuff. What is it? There's a movie called I don't know the movie, but the gist of the movie, so you can look it up and find it, is a little girl meets a guy online and he stays lying about his age, and then she meets him and it goes downhill. I don't know how you could type that in and find that, but type it in and find that. I grew up, I seen that, and that had me wary of social media people. I seen Megan's Missing, which is a horrid movie. It takes a lot of takes a good strong person to be able to watch that more than once, or even once. That movie had me wary of social medias, and I'm only saying these because these are movies that I plan on making my kids watch when I do have kids and they get old enough to have social medias. They gotta go through a trail of watching movies that I watch, and those are the main two. And yeah, be careful of social medias. If you're grown watching this, I hope you already know that. Turn off those maps, please. If you're a child watching this, you shouldn't be, because I be cussing and stuff. But if you are, be careful of social medias. Have a great one. Thank you guys for watching stuff with me. Thank you guys for supporting me and subscribing. I appreciate y'all. Have a great day. And bye.